I had already decided Thanksgiving was going to be a test, not the warm, forgiving kind people post about, the quiet kind, where you pass or fail without knowing what the questions were. My parents were hosting, my aunt had opinions, the table was set with a precision that suggested control mattered more than comfort. Even the candles were evenly spaced, like a warning. I was home from my apartment in the city, trying to fit back into a house that had taught me very specific rules about dignity. You didn't make scenes, you didn't invite chaos, you didn't let people see the cracks. The doorbell rang just as my mother was smoothing the tablecloth for the third time. It wasn't a soft ring, it was the hesitant press of someone who didn't expect to be answered. My dad looked at the clock. "Who would—" he started, already irritated. I opened the door before anyone else could. The man standing there wasn't dramatic. No shaking cup, no rehearsed story. He looked tired in a way that suggested routine disappointment. His jacket was clean but worn thin at the elbows. His beard had been trimmed recently, as if habit had outlived circumstance. "Sorry," he said. "Do you have any spare food?" Behind me, my mother didn't hesitate. "Give him money and close the door," she said, already reaching for her purse. That response made sense to me. It was efficient, contained. It didn't spill into the room. My father, however, stepped forward. He didn't look at my mother or at me. He looked directly at the man. "Set another place," he said. "He's eating with us." The sentence landed wrong, like a glass placed too close to the edge of the table. I felt heat rise in my chest before I could stop it. Not anger exactly, something closer to panic. The neighbors could see through the window. The food had been planned exactly. This wasn't how things were done. My mother froze, purse still open. "Don't be ridiculous," she said, low but sharp. "We can give him something to go." The man shifted his weight, already preparing to leave. "It's all right," he said. "I didn't mean—" "You're staying," my father said. Calm, final. I watched my dad carefully then. He wasn't performing kindness. He wasn't proving a point. His voice sounded the way it did when he signed documents or corrected contractors, controlled, certain. That made it worse. I wanted him gone before he could say anything else, before he could turn into a story we'd have to carry. I hated that impulse, hated how familiar it felt. The chair scraped against the floor as my father pulled it out himself. The man hesitated, then sat, hands folded neatly in his lap. Dinner resumed in fragments. No one said grace. My aunt avoided eye contact with the guest entirely, as if politeness might obligate her to feel something. My mother served food with clipped movements, jaw tight. I sat stiff, tracking every sound, fork against plate, the clink of glass, the way the man thanked her quietly when she placed food in front of him. He ate slowly, not cautiously, slowly, like someone who had learned not to rush what might be temporary. My father barely touched his plate. That was the first thing that felt wrong, in a way I couldn't explain. The man didn't talk much. When he did, it was in response to direct questions. Yes, it was cold outside. No, he didn't know how long he'd be in town. He complimented the food without exaggeration. Then, halfway through the meal, he looked at my father. "Do you still keep the ledger?" he asked, casually. "Or did you finally learn to trust your memory?" The fork slipped from my father's hand and hit the plate with a sharp, unmistakable sound. The room went still. My mother turned toward him. "What did you just say?" The man seemed surprised by the reaction. "I'm sorry," he said, genuinely. "I didn't mean to—" My father raised a hand, not to stop him, to steady himself. His face had lost color so quickly it startled me. This was a man who negotiated deals for a living, who never let uncertainty show. Now he looked like someone had called him by a name he hadn't used in years. "How do you know about that?" my father asked. The man wiped his mouth carefully before answering. Because I kept it, he said, when you couldn't. Silence stretched, not awkward, heavy. My mother laughed once, sharply. This isn't funny. It's not meant to be, the man said. He turned to my father again, voice lower now. I didn't come here for this. I didn't know it was your house. You knocked, my father said. You didn't know. No, the man agreed. I didn't. Something was shifting, and I could feel it in my body before I understood it intellectually. The rules I'd grown up with, the ones about appearances and order, were suddenly irrelevant. Something older was happening. My father pushed his chair back and stood, not abruptly, deliberately. I think, he said to the table, we should let him finish his meal. My aunt stared at him. Are you serious? Yes. Authority wasn't raised, it was exercised. The man finished eating. When he stood, my father followed him to the door. No one else moved. They spoke quietly, just out of earshot. I caught fragments. You said you were done with that life. I was. Life wasn't. I looked for you. I know. When my father returned, he didn't sit back down. He picked up his coat instead. I'm going to drive him somewhere warm, he said. My mother finally found her voice. You're not going anywhere until you explain what just happened. My father paused, looked at her, looked at me. Not tonight, he said. The door closed behind them. We sat there, surrounded by food that had lost its meaning. Later, much later, my father told me part of it, not everything. There had been a time before the stability I'd grown up with, a partnership that went wrong, decisions that cost more than money. The man at the table had once carried responsibility my father hadn't been able to. He saved me, my father said quietly, more than once. That was all. The next morning, the extra chair was gone. The house looked the same, but something had shifted that couldn't be reset. I noticed how quickly I judged discomfort as danger, how easily I inherited rules without questioning who they protected. The man never came back, but the shame I felt that night, the immediate, instinctive kind, didn't disappear. It changed shape, became something I could finally see. And once you see that, it doesn't let you pretend anymore.